Alright, hello friends. Doing something a bit different today, and a real life thing. I want to rate every single Tottenham first team player that has played this year, and yeah, just go through the list, give them a rating 1 through 10. I think, this season may or may not continue, and I want to give my input, because I'm a bit of a distant Spurs fan. I don't know, I've joined fairly recently, 2 years ago. And I don't know, basically my experience is last year's crazy campaign and this one's crazy campaign. And this is my opinion based solely on that. So yeah, first up, we have Hugo Lloris, number 1. Now, okay, Hugo, he gets a lot of slack. He really does. But I think he is underrated. I do. I mean, he pulls off some saves that, other keepers just don't have the reflexes for. And it's impressive. It's really impressive. He does have the blunder in him. We all know he has the blunder in him. World Cup. But it's okay. He is still a great shot stopper. He's not great at distribution, but for standing in front of the net and going like that, he's doing great, I think. I would give him a 7 out of 10 for the time he was fit and playing. Next up, Toby Alderweireld.
This could get worse, yeah.
Just thinking about the defense. God, I have a lot to say about the defense, but I think Toby has been one of the better ones, and that's probably a popular opinion, but I do want to say I think Toby has been let down by his other teammates in that area. One of the crucial problems in the Tottenham defense is that the midfield is not secure, and we don't have enough people back there helping out the center backs so that they look the best they can look. And with that, I think center backs like Toby are suffering because of it, because he's not really doing what he's supposed to do. He's doing way more than he's supposed to do, and it's kind of drained on him a bit. I mean, every time I think I've watched him, he hasn't done a massive mess up or anything any time this year, and I mean, he's a pretty reliable defender, I think. He's still got a year or two in him to be a first-team center back, so go on with Toby. Yeah, glad you signed up. 8 out of 10 for Toby. Jan Vertonghen. I will preface this by saying Jan Vertonghen is one of my favorite people in the whole Spurs team, in all of the sports world. I just think he's such a great character. And he seems like such a genuine and awesome guy. And also, I think he suffered from what Toby has been suffering from his other teammates, plus a little. He's been played at left back, which he's not capable of doing unless he's in a 3 at the back, and he has people who can cover him. That being said, I don't think he can do the physical job in the Prem anymore at left back. I do think he could potentially have another year at him at center back. I don't think he was terrible when he was playing at center back. When he was playing left back, his weaknesses really got shown. That Wolves game with Adama Traore came to mind. I don't think his legs are completely gone like some people are saying. I think there's still a little bit of fight in him, and I would like to see another year of him, but his contract is up in the summer, and realistically, we probably shouldn't sign him back up. So Jan, 5 out of 10. That hurts me. Davinson Sanchez is a confusing one as well. He's probably our most physically imposing center back, but at the same time he struggles against very physical strikers and attackers. if there's ever a ball going over Davinson Sanchez's head, I get very concerned, and for good reason. He does not know how to track that ball, and he also misses his headers a few times. That being said, there's been a few times this year where I think he's been underrated, and he's been our best defender. He would pull off these insane track back runs and these tackles that were crucial goal-saving tackles. And yeah, I think he's been underrated this year. I wouldn't say he's been our best center back. I think our best center backs have been Toby, just on a consistency basis. But once Davinson gets consistent, I think he will be the best. 6 out of 10 for Davinson. Danny Rose, loyal, longest-serving person to the club. And, you know, again, I think he's one of these people who's been kind of forced to play a different role than he's used to. And with that, the role he was playing, he's not as good at. He doesn't have the ability to track back anymore and be that defender. He is a very, very in-your-face, get-stuck-in defender, and I love it. However, we can't rely on that. And it does expose us at the back sometimes. And I love Danny Rose. I mean, he's very outspoken about his opinions, and some people hate it, some people love it. Whatever. I think Danny Rose, he's been a great servant. It does feel like time to go, though. I would say a 5 out of 10 for Danny Rose. We're going to go with a strange one. Kyle Walker-Peters. KWP has been a very hit-or-miss person on the Spurs fan base. Just from what I've seen public opinion-wise, there's some people who are like, throw him into the right-back spot right now because he is good enough. And I used to fall in that category. And then there's also some people who are like, he's 22. His career is basically over. You know, you would hope that he would be more physically imposing. Whenever I watch him, he always seems to, like, get up to speed, but he always looks like he has another gear to shift into, and he never shifts into it. And I think that's annoyed some people. Like, it seems like a lack of effort. I haven't seen those, like, darting, blistering runs forward. That being said, I would love to give him a second chance if he shines out on loan on Southampton. I think, you know, developmental-wise, I would like to see more from him, and for him to really cement his place in the squad if he was going to already. But that's yet to be seen. The right-back position is one that's there for the taking, so I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10 as well. Ben Davies. Ben Davies is also a person who, if you give him the right system to work in, which I think Mourinho was trying to do, he's going to be good. The problem with him is when he came back from injury, he just was not up to match fitness, and you could tell. There were a few games at the end of the Poch era and in the beginning of the Jose era. I think he played like 1 or 2 games, and I mean, he was good. He was objectively good. He had a great game for Wells. I watched him do that like darting run forward where I think he slid the ball into Gareth Bale or something. He looked like he fouled someone in the process, but I was like, go on, Ben, lad. He could show he was good going forward as well when you give him the opportunity. I think he's had an up and down year, a lot like a lot of our other players. I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Serge Aurier, the most controversial guy. Second most controversial guy at Tottenham. He does some things really well, and he makes a lot of defensive contributions. I saw today where he was in like the top 5 people for like tackles or take-ons or something. I forget what specific stat it was, but it was the stat that Aaron Wan-Bissaka was at the top of, and Serge was also on that list. The thing with that is that he shouldn't really be having to make those tackles anyway. That's kind of the rashness about him that makes me hesitant to say he's a good defender. He should be in better positions. He should not be in the attacking midfielder position, which he likes to find himself in a lot of times. I think if he stayed at right back and then did make those runs forward when he needed to and wasn't a bit selfish and aggressive with his tackling, he could be a good player. He's just not fully clicked. That being said, when Jose came in, he did get the best out of Serge in a system for a few games, and then he became iffy again. I'm going to say, wow, 6 out of 10? Japhet Tanganga. Okay, wow. That Liverpool debut, just ridiculous. I mean, within the opening minute, he was clearing something off the line. He was our best defender, probably best player of the whole match. And for a few run of games, he was probably one of our best players. I mean, that kid has a future ahead of him. I really do think so. I mean, he's fast, like Mourinho said. And he's just composed on the ball, which some of our other center backs are composed on the ball, but not as much as Japhet. When we chucked Davinson at right back, no. When we chucked Japhet at right back, it worked out pretty well. And at left back, very versatile. He's going to get into the team a lot if he stays that versatile. I would love to see him take Jan's role as the backup center back next year. Juan Foyth. I I love Juan Foyth. I really, really do. He's a good player. He's objectively a good player. The thing with him is that he has those occasional blunders because he is a really good ball-playing center back. That being said, he needs to play more to get those blunders out of his game. I don't want to speak about Juan Foyth a lot because it's kind of sad to me that we look to be selling him on. I would really want to keep him because I think he is a great player and he does have a future ahead of him. Maybe he doesn't fit this league. Who knows? For the year he's had, which is very tumultuous, I'd say a 5 out of 10. We move on to the midfield. Let's start with Harry Winks. I think a lot of people are expecting a lot more of Harry Winks than what he's there to do. I don't think a lot of people understand what Harry Winks does. He's one of our most progressive passers, and he keeps the ball, and under certain teams, he is crucial to helping Tottenham tick. I don't know what our midfield is going to be next year. I have a hard time imagining Dele, Gio, Tanguy, Winks, Jedson, Skipp. Like, how do all those people fit into whatever our conglomerate midfield is going to be? I think Winks should be a part of that still. I genuinely do. I think he's good enough for the first team. He's good enough to be a starting player against certain teams when the tactics call for him. I think that's something you have to take game by game. There are some games where he would be extremely useful, and other teams where Ndombele would probably be the better pick. That's what I'll say about Winks. I saw a lot of effort this year. I would say a 7 out of 10 for Winks. He had a few horrific games, particularly against Bayern, I believe. He was abysmal, but promising. Eric Dier. Also, showing my bias here a little bit. I love Eric Dier, genuinely. I think he is so freaking imposing. I think he's faster than people give him credit to in a straight line. He turns like a truck, don't get me wrong. But I think he is still a valuable player of Tottenham Hotspur. He does not remain in the midfield. He lies further back. That being said, when he was chucked in at center back, he was great. He was honestly great. He was making very crucial blocks that would have led to goals. He was making all sorts of crazy tackles, and he did have the blunder a few, but he showed a lot of heart. He was putting his body on the line just like Japhet was doing, and we need that back there. I think also he should be getting minutes next year, and I want to see him get back into the England squad just for his sake. I don't think he's had the worst year. If anything, he's having a bit of a redeeming year. I know that's a bit hard to say. But at his age, he still can come back to a top level, I hope. Now, moving on to Oliver Skipp. He was great when he was on the field. I don't know if he's played enough for me to really give him an accurate rating. But, yeah, when he was playing in those last few bursts under Mourinho, he was game-changing in midfield. We needed someone to chase down the ball, put pressure on defenders, pressure them the whole game. His legs just never gave out. He was crucial. Yeah, I don't think I can rate him, but I just wanted to touch on him. We move on to Tanguy Ndombele. Tanguy, if I could split the season in half, I would say the first half of the season, 8 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Wonderful. Second half, because of the degradation of his fitness instead of progression, because of his impact becoming less and less as the games went on, and because of kind of the media stuff going on around about him, I would have to give a 3 or 4 out of 10. Just not a good second half of the season. I think he's our best midfielder. Don't get me wrong. He is our best midfielder. And I think he's a world beater if he gets his head down and works and figures out how to work in the Prem in this different style of team. That being said, I think he's genuinely world class. I've not seen a player move like that with the ball, and he's just so graceful. He's so fun to watch when he's fit and firing. And I really hope you don't sell him. Overall, 5 out of 10. We move on to Giovani Lo Celso. He's great. I don't have as inflated of opinion as most other Spurs fans do about Gio. I don't think he's been our player of the season by any stretch. Okay, he does deserve to be in that conversation because we've been abysmal. That being said, he's just been doing what a midfielder should do. He's tackling, he's making interceptions, he's pressuring, and he's also playmaking a little bit. He's not been playmaking as much as it seems he's been playmaking. That's okay. Who could really replace Eriksen that quickly? He's not meant to replace Eriksen. That's not his role. That being said, he's been kind of a revelation this year. I was really worried things weren't going to work out, and I'm really glad they are working out. 7 out of 10. Christian Eriksen. Wow. It pains me to talk about Chris. Chris is one of the best people I've seen put on a Spurs shirt. And he is one of the best playmakers in the game on his day. He didn't have many of those days this year. That being said, there were a few times where he would come on off the bench and he would change the whole game. he would make it so we would scrape out a win or a point. He was crucial at times this season. And to give his all, even though he wanted to leave, okay, not his all. But to give what he did give when he wanted to leave and to still contribute to the team and was not whiny about it, 6 out of 10 for Chris. I know he can do better. I hope he shines at Inter Milan. I really do. That free kick from like 40 yards out, I wish that went in. Anyways, Dele Alli. Underrated season from Dele Alli. We've shown a lot more progression to where he was a few years ago. I think, honestly, you look at his goal contributions, you look at his assist numbers, you look at his goals, he was not bad this year. If he was a new signing, he would be talked about differently. It's just because people have this massive expectation of who Dele Alli was that people can't see Dele Alli who he is now. That goal against Manchester United shows he's still got that flair, that insane flair that gets people up on the edge of their seats. It's lovely to watch, and Dele is not gone. I don't think we should give up hope on Dele. I think next year, if we have a fully fit, firing front line, which I'll get to in a second, he's going to be great again. I'm going to say 7 out of 10 for Dele Alli. He's shown progression this year, and he's had to do a lot of defensive work when he's been called upon to do it. So yeah, Gedson Fernandes, I don't know how to say it properly. Gedson has been great. He's run a lot. That's pretty much all I can say about him. He hasn't really played enough for me, give him an accurate rating. I think he's been pretty good. I would like to see more from him. I don't really know if we should sign him yet, but he doesn't look bad, so there's that. I'm going to start with Lucas. Lucas runs into so many blind alleys. It frustrates me so much. Lucas is such a frustrating player. He has so much skill. He can be a world-class player that's unstoppable on his day, but he's just not been there. He keeps trying too many things. But I don't really like Lucas. I think he's okay, but he doesn't really work at Tottenham. I haven't seen him work at Tottenham besides the Amsterdam game, and that was just a freak occurrence. I think he has a lovely skill. I just don't know if we're suited to him. 4 out of 10. Those numbers that he has are not acceptable. Heung-Min Son, wonderful. I don't need to say anything about Heung-Min Son. He's great. He's been our best player this year. I'm going to say it. Been our most consistent. There were a few times where his goal touch was off. I don't care about it. He was great. I would say 8 out of 10 for Heung-Min Son. He's definitely not slowing down at all yet, and I love to see it. Yeah, great player. Harry Kane. Frustrating. He would track back to right back when he needed to, when he had that captain's armband on. He was running the whole length of the field, and I loved seeing it, but at the same time, I knew he was going to give out. And he struck that ball, and instantly I was like, oh, God, and it was offside. And I was like, okay, well, he's just out for the rest of the season. That's fine. He's still our leading goal scorer. That's how insane Harry Kane is. If that was a new striker signing, like I'll say for Dele Alli, we would be looking at him differently. He was getting back to his best form. I don't know if he'll ever be the player he was a few years ago. But that being said, he still was what we wanted him to be, and he was really freaking unstoppable in front of goal. 7 out of 10. Steven Bergwijn, I can't comment much on. I will say, he looks tricky, and he looks like a good winger. I would put him ahead of Lucas next year. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know, I can't give him a rating. But I would like to see a lot more of him. That debut goal against City, bring that again. You'll be in our hearts forever. I think that'll do it, though. That was very, very long. See you guys next time.